Hello and welcome to the Album of the Year podcast. My name is Marty, and just like always, just like clockwork, my guy Chris Wright is just to my left once more.
I'm actually not here until he says my name, and then I poof.
And then Chris just pops up and appears from out of nowhere.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like I'm magical that way.
Ether, if you will.
Oh man, we got some burgers in our belly. Burger was really good, man.
Yeah.
That's where we went.
We did. Very good. Very good. Burger M.
Yeah.
And it's like based in Israel or something. Yeah, it's like, and there's one in Cedar Park. It was crazy.
Yeah.
They got these little sliders, but they're like stylized and have these kind of really interesting makeups. And there's like a Spanish one that has like jalapenos and habanero aioli. Very good.
The chicken one, you can get an egg on it. There's all kinds of different ways it comes too.
Yeah.
You could they do like a party tray. It's funny because a lot of times we do talk about the food that we eat. Just so you guys know, we don't get any kind of like kickback from any of these places. Like
we don't.
You hear us
we go there and we pay for our meals.
Yeah, exactly. This is not like, hey, like we're influencers. Like, hey man, give us the thing for free and we'll mention you on our podcast.
Yeah,
some guy in Bosnia.
This episode is brought to you by
Burger
fucking Opie's Barbecue.
Yeah,
and, that's Mark Maron's place. He apparently and he goes there and he like pays for it and stuff and like. He loves it. He was like, Opie's, that's my place. And apparently when he goes in there, the people are like, oh, Mark Maron, you're the best ever, whatever.
Yeah. That's what I want, man. I want us to walk into Tumble 22 and everyone go, yeah, that's our guy.
Fucking royalty, Chris.
That's what all this is driving towards.
That's right, yeah.
Being treated like royalty at the fried chicken place.
Yeah.
That's it.
Get a little extra macaroni and cheese. That's that's our goal, our lot in life.
I don't even extra macaroni and cheese, just more cheese on the macaroni. Just a little bit more cheese. I feel like a king.
Does need some more cheese sometimes. I will say that.
What's up with the cheese, guys?
What's up with the cheese, guys? Come on. Chicken's great. Don't get me wrong. The chicken's fantastic.
A little bit more cheese.
The kale coleslaw, delicious. Not fronting on that. Speaking of fried chicken, actually, when we were in Cincinnati, we went to their fried chicken place called The Eagle. And wow, it was very good, Chris. Very,
Eagle.
Very, very good.
I would be against naming my fried chicken place after a bird that's not a chicken. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just sort of like, You
think that's a little passe?
Yeah, I don't know, like Turkey's fried chicken. It's like, what?
Well, it's a little bit different than that.
But I don't know. It's just a bird, right?
Gobblers fried chicken. Wait a second.
Hold up.
Shit. Hang on.
It's like ostriches fried chicken. This is a big ass chicken. I don't know.
You guys going over to Emu's tonight?
Yeah.
Get some good fried chicken.
Dude, this place should have a restaurant called Emu's. We have an Egos and an Emos. We should have an Emu's.
Courtney went to Egos last weekend.
Did she?
Yeah. Her friend had a birthday party there.
The Poetry Slam? I told you.
No. That's a karaoke bar now.
Is it really?
They like 7 or 8 years ago, they rebranded it as a karaoke bar, and that's like the spot to go to.
At some point, because it was on an episode, we cut it out because I didn't tell the story very well. But I got to tell that story about the Poetry Slam at Egos.
Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day.
Ran into a certain famous person.
A certain person that is now famous.
We will just one day
we'll tell that story.
Patreon paywall.
It's a good story the way you tell it too.
Hey, before we jump into the charts on this, we talked last time about your ACL adventures, but you did see the Wu-Tang Clan.
I did.
We didn't really talk about that, so I wanted to hear because we kind of talked about it, you and me, but not really. So tell me what this show was like.
So when we get there and they got the big Enter the Wu-Tang album cover on the screen behind the stage, so it's a full album show, right? As much as as much as they can do that. Yeah,
they didn't bring Ghostface Killah out to do Method Man, did they?
No, well, they could. Well, I'll get to that in a minute,
right.
But as much as they could do a full album show for Enter the Wu-Tang, they did, and then they kind of went off after the set ended. They did Triumph. They did It's Woo Motherfucker, that song. Reunited, Double LP, World Excited, that song. They did Ghostface did Daytona 500. GZA did a couple of songs from Liquid Swords, but it was all the original members except for Meth. He was the only one that wasn't there, and the only reason he wasn't there is because he was shooting a movie somewhere.
Right.
The RZA was like, Meth Man couldn't be here. He's out shooting a major motion picture. That's what he said in the coolest way RZA can say something like that. But yeah, it was great.
See, that drives me crazy because we were talking about last time about how live they don't always have everybody.
Yeah,
and I was like, man, if I knew they had everybody, I would go. But I don't really want to pay $7 or $70 just to see Inspect the Deck and Master Killer.
Yeah,
exactly. I want to see everyone. And then now I'm kicking myself. I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, it was very,
especially
very cool.
after we dug into the album.
Yeah, it was very, very, very good. Very
They
cool.
had Young Dirty Bastard. Is
Young
that right?
Dirty Bastard was ODB's replacement, and
That's
like
his son, right?
that is his son, and he was so good. He came out into the crowd and came right by us when they were doing. I can't remember what Shimmy Shimmy Ya I think he did. Like,
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
that's cool.
So they kind of tried to do some of the solo stuff too. They did
I
Shimmy
think that's
Shimmy
the
Ya.
right
They
move.
Got Your Money, and
Yeah.
for ODB they did. I think they didn't do any Raekwon solo stuff. Ghostface did Daytona 500. And Jizza did Duel of the Iron Mike, I want to say, from Liquid Swords, which was awesome. That one, the song that has the weird like guitar sample in it that's like, the Ebola virus, I hear the reign of King Cyrus, you can see the weakness of a man right through his iris. What is the name?
wow.
Yeah. You know that song?
No, I don't. I don't know Liquid Swords.
I
like
judge
should.
wisely, let
That's-
nothing ever surprise
Liquid Swords.
me.
That's the first Wu-Tang album, isn't it?
Oh, fuck, Chris. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Come on,
That's a
man.
joke, guys.
That's another
inside
story that we'll tell on a Patreon paywall episode. I almost killed a man who told me in a bar that Liquid Swords was the first Wu-Tang album.
You just said
There's-
to him. You said, "Look, Wu-Tang has several first
good
albums. Several first albums."
Oh my goodness, yeah. So we'll revisit that at one other time. But I
Yeah,
almost
sorry,
like
guys.
broke a guy's legs for trying to tell me that. But anyway, yeah, I judge wisely as nothing ever surprised me. Lounging between two pillars of ivory, I'm lively. My dome piece is like building stones in Greece. What is that song? Oh my god. Let me just look it up real quick because he did that and it kind of brought the house down. Like it was super amazing. And Jizza's just so like lyrically, he's just so amazing, man. It's just so on point and legit. Singles, Liquid Swords, studio album, Duel of the Iron Mike. Yeah, that song has ODB, Master Killer, and Inspector Deck in it. It might have been that song. Hold on. Can I see your phone real quick? Can you cue that up?
Wait, which one was
Actually, do Fourth Chamber.
it? Okay.
Play that song. I'm pretty sure that's the song. Huh? Wait, what is this?
Oh, it's MacArthur Park. I'm sorry.
Oh, you fucker. I was like, what the hell is this? Fucking Wu-Tang, man. You MacArthur Park. Someone left a cake out in the rain.
I'm sorry. I can't help myself. Okay, Fourth Chamber. Shut up, Richard Harris. That's
your fault, not
yeah,
mine.
I know. Why'd you make me do that?
I didn't
man?
make you do anything, Chris.
Okay.
I don't... Yeah. Wait.
That's Fourth Chamber. you said?
Sword,
Yeah.
and you will join
Yeah, this is
me,
it. This is dialogue from the movie
And you join your
Shaolin Assassins, I want to say.
mother. You don't understand my words, but you must choose.
God, I know it's like it's just a
Shogun
audio,
Assassin. Yeah.
an audio clip from a movie,
Yeah.
but it adds such a cool feel
It
to
is.
these records.
It is. Agreed. Does, I should say. Shogun Assassin, I believe, is the movie.
Convoy.
Choose life or death. Yeah, and that broke out when that broke out, like, place went fucking crazy,
Yeah,
man. And it was so good.
I got to get into this
Yeah.
record, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's
So
really
that
good.
was
Yeah.
a highlight. I
Yeah.
guess. Fantastic.
For sure. Yeah.
So, and then the James Blake show. Anything to say about that?
It was great.
Yeah.
It was very good. James
That
Blake
modular
is
synth
really
you showed me. I was like, you were like, check this out.
He had 3 dudes, him and 2 other dudes, and the drummer kind of played this like electric drum kit that was like sample based, but had like live cymbals and stuff. And
Right.
it was cool. It was really interesting, man. It was minimal, very, very interesting, very cool music. And I think, a lot of people would see something like James Blake and they would say like, this is kind of what the fuck, like synthesizers and drum machines and where's the fucking guitars and shit. But the guy that was on the modular synth would occasionally play guitar too. So it was just really good. It was really interesting. It was very
What was that?
cool
At
production.
ACL Live?
Stubbs.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So, and they had this rapper named Armani White opened up the show, and he was kind of fun and like super high energy, but like he had like this DJ who was kind of acting like a hype man, and then he had a guy playing saxophone, and he had a live drummer, which was cool. But the DJ hype man, like before he came out, he'd be like, "All right, I want everybody to put their phones in the air and turn the light on," and like he tried to do all this audience participation stuff that's usually reserved for like the end of a set. And we were just kind of like, oh, okay, man. Like, he's like, I got fruit snacks. Who wants fruit snacks? And he's like throwing packs of Welch's fruit snacks out into the audience. Right? Okay, sure, whatever. And it's like, I told Courtney, like, this is cool and all, but like James Blake, why couldn't we have just some kind of weird, like Bitchin' Bajas? That would have been perfect opening act for. I just want something like moody and droney that I can like fall asleep to before James Blake. And then James Blake come on and fucking rock it, dude. Like, but yeah, man, I don't know.
That's a whole conversation sometimes for like weird opening bands. Yeah, there have been definitely times where I'm like, why did this group open? Why did Perry Farrell's Party Machine open for the Good, the Bad, and the Queen? That makes no sense. You know, like, it's like
so crazy.
It's a hair band, and then the Good, the Bad, and the Queen. What?
You know, he's 60.
Who?
Perry Farrell.
Perry Farrell.
He's 60 years old.
That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. All right, so let's get into the thick of it, dude.
Oh, man. Do we have to?
Yes. Yes, we have to.
We got to do it
Chris.
for the fans.
We got to do it
for the fans. Here we go. The 2006, your 2006 Billboard Top 100. Oh, my
Michael
God.
Buffer or something.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Guys, I know we complain about the top 100 on some years or whatever. This is a nightmare.
This is a fucking shit show,
this
dude.
This is a absolute shit show. Pussycat Dolls.
They have 3 songs
there
on
this
There are 3
list. Pussycat Dolls songs
that
on
tells you anything.
The number 1 song of the year is that Daniel Powder Bad Day song.
Yeah.
That song's awful.
It's so awful.
You know, and it's not rare to see the number 1 song be bad, but that is bad.
It might be the worst number 1 song
that we've seen
that I've seen on a chart. Yeah.
I
remember hating it when it came out and being like, "This, what the fuck?"
It was so dumb.
In a bad day.
I gotta say, in fact, I'll go so far, and I don't want this to be taken too far here, but like white men on this list, almost categorically crap.
Yeah.
Like the music made by white dudes. We got James Blunt on here. We got The Fray. We've got
Snow Patrol,
freaking Rascal Flatts. You know what I mean? Like, that Hinder song?
Lips of an Angel.
Oh my gosh,
so
it's
bad.
awful. I was listening to him like, this sounds like a Firehouse song.
Oh God,
like,
it's so awful.
We destroyed music like this.
Don't treat me bad.
Yeah, I know that was a description. No. I love that part.
Don't treat me bad.
I'll go so far as to say Firehouse is better than this.
They were much
this
better.
is more like I don't know, extreme. Not even extreme because they had some musical chops. It's just terrible, guys.
Yeah, it's not good.
Fall Out Boy. Like, there's almost nothing made by a white dude on this list that's any good. Well, there's one really, really good song, but we'll get to it. But, you know, it's when Justin Timberlake's probably one of the best artists, you know, white dude artists on this list.
Yeah, then something's up.
Something's wrong, you know? Like, why are white men making such terrible music? You know?
Right. And look, guys, if you like Blue October and The Fray, hey, more power to you. Like, tell us we're wrong. That's fine. We don't care, but we don't like it.
Well, I don't like it.
And we're going to be honest with you, our audience, about how much we don't like it. So
Nickelback.
Yeah. I mean,
so,
we don't.
What are some other stuff on here that's
awful?
I mean, it's almost all awful.
Yeah, it's not good. There's a Bon Jovi song.
Yeah, that
where the fuck did that come from?
Why is Bon Jovi still selling?
Did he have a record out this year?
I guess he did. Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, but yeah, Bon Jovi has a hit.
Yeah.
Featuring Jennifer Nettles. It's like I listened to it last night. It sounds like a country song, but not even in a good way. Rascal Flatts doing their cover of Life is a Highway.
Oh.
Like that song sounded like stupid when it first came out.
Who's like Tom Cochrane.
But you know, it's like I don't fault a guy like Tom Cochrane. It's like he's a one-hit wonder, and he just that was his song. You know, like whatever. But then to cover it and to be a hit again, it's like, come on. You know, like the song wasn't good enough the first time.
Yeah, so bad. What hurts the most? That song's really bad too. Rascal Flatts. The girl I was with at the time tried to play that song to me and tell me it was like the greatest song of that year, and I was like, "This is terrible. Like this is not good at all. Why would you ever think I would like this?" But
I know people who like Rascal Flatts, but I don't get it. Like.
Yeah,
it's just, this is where country really starts to lose me because it just really sounds. I mean, just the fact that they're covering "Life Is a Highway," and I know it's for like the Cars movie or whatever, and so it's whatever. It's a cross promotional thing, and that's why it's on the chart. But I mean, country music around this time really transitioned to essentially just being 80s rock music.
Totally, yeah, absolutely.
The fact
it was like the lover boy of the 2000s.
Right, right. It really was. And so, and that's where like country just has very little to say to me now. It really is starting around this time.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. There's a song on here that I don't know, actually, but it's interesting to me because Fort Minor, which is the Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park, who's like the DJ producer guy, he's got a song on here called Where'd You Go? And the guy that sings some of the song is this guy named Jonah Martranga. You ever heard of him?
No, I don't know.
So he's kind of like a punk emo kind of guy. He was in a band called Far back in the day, and he ended up doing a solo thing called One Line Drawing, and he has I think there's 2 One Line Drawing albums, and they're both really, really good. Yeah, and he's got a really interesting voice, and kind of emo in that Jets to Brazil kind of spirit, that we talked about the one episode. But he's also done some poppy stuff, like he's in a... who's the guy? He's in a Kid Cudi song too. Oh. Like he sang in a Kid Cudi song before. So he pops up on the pop charts from here and there, and he's kind of like a mercenary in some respects for some of these pop songs in a way. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I listened to that the other day. And I don't remember if I thought it was okay or not. You want to hear a little bit of it?
Yeah, play it. Why not?
Now, if I was really crazy, I would play MacArthur Park again right now, but I'm not.
Please, fucking Chris.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mike Shinoda raps on this song too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Said some days I feel like shit. Some days I want to quit and just be normal for a bit. I don't understand why you have to always be gone. I get along.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
It's not terrible.
Yeah, it's not too bad. In fact, I would say it sounds like it's probably pretty good.
Mike Shinoda's on like one of those Handsome Boy Modeling School albums. You ever heard any of those?
Yeah. Thomas is really into those,
they're good.
That's Dan the Automator, right?
Yes, it is. I believe so. But yeah, so that's kind of interesting, I suppose. I don't know.
That's not.
I wanted to kind of find some kind of diamond in the rough here. I guess.
There's a couple of good songs in here, right?
Gold Digger, Kanye.
Gold
Jamie
Digger's
Foxx,
good.
great song. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic song. Mm-hmm. Like when people say what they want about Kanye, and I've said, I think Kanye is a mixed bag, but I think when he's doing great work,
he's good, he's real good.
Yeah, exactly. And this is a good example of that.
I shied away from Kanye for a while, and I still am not crazy about everything he's done, but some of the stuff, he's got some very strong songs, obviously.
He became kind of a critic's darling where everything he touched was immediately gold. And his fans are like, it's like a cult. I mean, it really is.
Totally.
But you can't deny some things, and I think that's
one of the songs
you can't really deny.
I agree. What else we got here?
Have you heard of Jibs? What is Jibs?
Jibs?
Yeah. So I listened.
What number?
Chain Hang Low, 65.
I saw that song last night when I was doing research, and I was like,
I did too. I was like, what is it? And then it made me laugh because it says, literally on the album cover, it's like Jibs featuring Jibs.
What?
Like,
Jibs featuring Jibs?
No,
that's
like,
awesome.
Jibs featuring Jibs. I was like, what?
Talk about meta. We were talking about
but it doesn't
Inception
otherwise look meta.
Avocados featuring avocados.
Yes.
I got my avocado soon.
Yeah, listen to this. Listen to how ridiculous this is. This sounds like it was made specifically so there would be a Kids Bop version.
Holy shit.
Look at this. I'll show you. Look at the cover of this. Jibs.
There it is.
Jibs featuring Jibs. Do you see it
Hold on. I gotta put my glasses back on. Oh, I remember this song.
I don't remember this at all. I was just
it's not all that memorable, so I don't really blame you.
It's sort of like
it's all kids singing.
It's like what if Ludacris had a kid? He would like make a song like this.
So crazy, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I wondered if you knew anything about that, but it's crazy.
I mean, I probably heard that song once or twice, but
yeah,
it's like it reminds me like Pass the Dutchie, musical youth or something.
At least in that case, you're dealing with like kids out of Jamaica or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
Jesus Take the Wheel by Carrie Underwood.
Jesus Take the Wheel.
Yeah. Let's see. So Sean Paul, I don't know if this song was on here, but They were playing one of his records at Used Kids when we were in Columbus, and I was like, this is kind of good.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. I don't really know
holy shit.
enough about Sean Paul as
Yeah.
a dude, but like, it's just kind of that Jamaican toasting stuff. Right?
Yeah,
like,
well, he's kind of like no, he's more of like if like Shaggy was actually good and had really
Yeah,
good production and really
but
interesting.
that still has
grooves
like
and
a
stuff.
toasting.
Yeah, maybe
doesn't
a
it?
little bit.
Am I wrong?
No,
or am
I don't think you're wrong. I don't know a ton about reggae. Probably don't know enough about reggae to know if that would be true or not. But
Yeah. His song on here, Temperature, I haven't heard it to death.
Yeah.
I imagine there are people out there who are like, oh, Temperature, don't get me started. But
Yeah.
like I've heard it and I'm like, yeah, it's all right. You
yeah.
know?
So yeah, I think there's some redeeming qualities in Sean Paul. To be completely honest, I think he's
Yeah.
all right. Oh, Lifehouse, another one of those fucking
I don't get how that.
BS adult contemporary bands that
Right.
just like somehow charted like crazy in this time.
I
Like,
apologize on behalf of rock music for the existence of Lifehouse.
we got to apologize for a lot of stuff on this
Yeah.
list.
Hey, I want to say this about this list.
Yeah.
I know that like pop music is always going to deal with sexuality and things
Yeah,
like that, and
yeah.
I don't have a problem with that. And not always, but like it's a big part and always has been a big part. But this feels like half of this list is made specifically to be played in strip clubs.
Yeah. There's a song called I'm in Love with a Stripper on this list,
Yes!
Chris.
Sexy Back is on this
Yeah.
list. Check on it. Beyonce, I love
Yeah,
you. And
yeah.
that's actually a pretty sexy song, but
Yeah.
it is a, like that kind of song,
Yeah.
like freaking Busta Rhymes has a song in here. This is, it's,
Which Busta Rhymes track is on here?
where is it? It's not one of his best, but it's definitely like stripper music. Touch it.
Oh yeah, that's stripper music for sure.
Yeah. It just feels like there's so much of this is just completely. I mean, the Pussycat Dolls are on this list 3 times. It tells you my least favorite song of all time is on this list.
What is
Least
it?
favorite song
What
of
is it?
all
What
time.
is it, Chris? Let's hear it.
It's an obvious one. It's My Humps by the Black Eyed Peas.
My Humps is your least favorite song of all time?
Yeah, well, here's why. I don't think it works on any level.
Yeah.
It's not sexy.
It's not sexy.
It's not sexy at all.
Yeah,
like,
I
so
agree
you
with
hear
that.
it and it's not like, ooh, that's a little intriguing. It's like,
it's like
ugh.
there's a 12-year-old girl singing about my lovely lady lumps. That's kind of
Yeah,
what Fergie
that's
sounds
what it-
like on
and
this
she
song.
sounds, so
Check it out.
but it's not
whoa.
sexy. But
It's
then
not.
it's also it's trying to be it's not ironic.
No.
Like it doesn't work
No,
as
it's
a
not.
parody of sex.
Yeah.
And they try to have it both ways. I really think so. I think they were trying to sell it
Really?
as a sexy song for people who are dumb enough to think it's sexy. And I think they were trying to sell it as a parody for people who are smart enough to know that it's not sexy. And I don't think it works on either level.
I would actually agree with that.
And so it's trash.
100%.
Like it's
Yeah.
complete. And I know that it's an obvious target to go after, but like I hate it. And then and then on top of it to really rub salt in the wound, massive international hit.
Oh God, couldn't have been bigger.
It was everywhere.
Everywhere
So
you
here
look,
you have a
My
song
Humps.
that fails artistically. It fails from a like sexual gut level way.
Yeah.
It fails. It's not even a good performance. It doesn't have a good groove. There is nothing redeeming about it, and it was everywhere.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I maybe
Do you think
maybe
there's
they really
anything redeeming?
swung for the fences artistically, and yeah, okay.
Get out
they
of here!
missed.
I'm gonna play MacArthur Park 12 times for you now. We're gonna go to Piranha Records after this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play it in the car. You're gonna have to listen to the whole thing.
Oh,
Go
fuck.
section over and over again.
I'm fucking driving, man. I got the Who ride.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
control of the fucking car play, man. Ain't no MacArthur
No,
Park. That gets no play in this ride.
I mean, I really can't. I mean, I can't stand the song. It is whatever.
it's not a good
gone
song, no.
now. Like nobody
Yeah.
plays it now and everything.
Yeah.
But for a while there in 2006, you couldn't escape it, and it was just annoying because, like I said, there are songs I don't like that I have to admit are kind of like "Sexy Back," right? Like
Yeah.
it's not a song that I particularly like.
Yeah.
But it works as a sexy song. You know what I mean? Like it's all right. "Hips Don't Lie" is on here. That's Wyclef Jean. Like working
Shakira,
on,
yeah.
on that and Shakira and. It's all right. Like it's
Yeah.
it is sexy. It works. It's not sometimes it's a little obvious, but that's okay,
Yeah.
But My Humps doesn't work.
Yeah.
And the only thing that really competes with it on this list, London Bridge.
Yeah.
Is just as bad.
Really? I kind of like London Bridge.
Really?
Yeah, kind of.
Well, I say it's not. Here's the thing.
London.
My London Bridge is
Yeah.
coming down.
Yeah, I mean,
talking
we-
about dropping her panties. Come on.
I thought she was talking about like going down on a guy.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
there's lots of layers
Yeah, I
to
mean,
it.
we
It's
can-
like
we
it's the
can-
CD Eefney of dirty pop
2006
music of 2006. Yeah.
I mean, whatever.
That song actually is not as bad as My Humps, but what is?
Yeah. It's. I mean, look, it's not a good song. I'm not trying to say that.
Yeah.
But,
I know. You're just saying it's a little bit more redeemable.
It's a little bit more catchy than My Humps. Like, I think you're right about My Humps, and it's like,
My Humps, My Humps, My Humps. Like, it doesn't even work as a hook. That's terrible.
Like, yeah. My lovely lady lumps. Like, there is nothing sexy about that.
And then they did
it sounds like something like a
radio
90-year-old woman would say.
Yeah. My lady lumps.
What was the radio edit?
My lovely little lumps.
That's right.
And it's no better. It's just as stupid. So it's like,
yeah, and like you still know what she's I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You're right.
It's just awful.
It's awful. It's pretty awful, guys.
Just awful.
Yeah. What else?
I hate you, 2006.
2006.
Now you know why I was so depressed listening to Greenland, because you look at this chart and it's just like what I wanted to do is nowhere near this.
Yeah. So James Blunt, not a fan, huh?
No, not a fan. Like I would. Here's the thing.
Either.
Like there's worse stuff. Like as much hell as the guy got for having such a kind of obsequious song that was everywhere. James Blunt seemed to take in stride the Rick Astley style.
I was just
going to
say, it kind of reminded me of Rick Astley a little bit.
Yeah, and so in that sense, it's like I don't hate him or anything, but I don't want to hear the song. If someone turned it on, I'd be like, come on, man. Put on some Ronnie Millsap. Let's get.
Yeah, that Gnarls Barkley track, "Crazy," is on.
Fantastic song.
Yeah, good song.
I mean, Homeboy's a little weird now, right?
CeeLo Green, yeah.
But and some things that he said I really disagree with. But
yeah, me too.
I mean, that song is an instant classic. The first time you heard it, it's like, this song. Why? How did this song not already exist? It's so good.
Yeah, He did that cover of "Gone Daddy Gone" on this record,
which is pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah,
and the first song on that album, I'll probably throw it on the playlist. By the way, we're still doing that. We're still doing playlists, guys, on Spotify. So check them out. But there's a song that opens that album, Go Go Gadget Gospel. Have you ever heard that?
No.
Oh my gosh.
I haven't.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Who's
the other guy, the producer guy that
Danger Mouse.
Danger Mouse, that's right.
I just want you to hear the intro of Go Go Gadget Gospel.
Oh, wow.
That is so like Danger Mouse production right there.
Yeah, it is.
And in fact, Danger Mouse is also on this chart in another place, and I'm going to pick it as my favorite. So I'm just taking over the list here, buddy. Feel Good Inc. by Gorillaz.
Yeah.
It's my one chance to really, because it's probably the only time Damon Albarn gets on the U.S. charts up at the top.
Clint Eastwood was on these charts. It had to have
I don't
been.
think so.
It had to have been, dude.
I didn't think so, man.
When did that album come out?
It was like 2001, I think, maybe.
I thought it was 2000.
Maybe 2000. I don't think Clint Eastwood. I mean, Clint Eastwood is.
I got to, Chris. That song was a lot. It was kind of everywhere. All right, yeah. Well, we don't have to worry about this. This is a different year, so we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll cross that London Bridge.
Oh,
as I should say.
Oh, Marty, I see what you're doing.
Oh man. Anyway, yeah. Sorry. So Feel Good Inc. Your favorite song on this list?
Yeah, I think it probably
I think that's
is.
probably
Crazy is close. Like it's another great one. And then of course, Photographed by Nickelback.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. So I mean, you almost can't pick "Beep" by the Pussycat Dolls featuring Will.i.am.
What was Will.i.am doing? Like this is that period where it was like up until this point the Black Eyed Peas were like, I was like, maybe redeemable, maybe the next album, maybe they'll go back to their originals.
Maybe they'll do something indie rap-ish.
Yeah.
Nope.
And then this came out, was like, whoops.
No, why did I even have faith in you?
Yeah.
Black Eyed Peas. Shit, yeah. So
as far as your, well, I don't know, anything else on this list that's like,
another one of Courtney's favorite karaoke songs is on this list.
Oh yeah,
Black Horse and the Cherry Tree by KT Tunstall. She
that's
loves
the one
that song.
Yeah, she showed me a video of her doing that.
She did. That's right.
That's a pretty good song.
It is actually a pretty good song.
I'm kind of surprised that when I was, because it's acoustic based and stuff. It doesn't really sound like anything else on this album.
Exactly.
Or on this list.
Yeah, on this list. Yeah. It's. But yeah. So favorite song for me. What do we got here? Shit, this is tough, man. I'm gonna say my least favorite song is fucking "Bad Day." Like I hate that song so much.
I think I didn't. I wasn't listening to radio around this time, so
Yeah.
that
You're
song
lucky.
didn't get beaten to my head, and I still heard it way
God.
too
Yeah,
much.
I know.
You know,
I know.
so yeah, I'm with you all the way. You know,
Yeah. I don't know the Rihanna songs on this list. Unfaithful and
SOS.
SOS. Yeah, I don't
SOS
know.
has a pretty conspicuous cover or sample of Tainted Love.
Oh,
the one
yeah,
that
I
has-
know that. I've heard that song.
It's
before.
not bad,
It's
but
pretty
it's
good. Yeah,
but it's one of those things where
Yeah.
you get a sample like that, and it's like, yeah, I kind of just wish I was listening to Tainted Love.
it's
though,
like the
you know?
MIA song that samples the Clash, Straight
Right.
to Hell, which I
Which
like that song.
I like it too.
Paper Planes a lot. But
Yeah, but Straight to Hell is like, God, you're really messing with, possibly in the top 3 all-time Clash songs here.
Well, the Clash, Joe Strummer has a songwriting credit on Paper Planes.
Yeah,
they
so-
gave the whole band songwriting credits, which they should. you
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. But Paper Planes is good, so
It
it's,
Oh man, how can you even do anything else?
What do you think of
with
Laffy Taffy?
Oh, good God. D4L.
So I listened to Laffy Taffy, and I'm like, this is okay. We were talking about in 1993 how even the bad songs are like bad in an entertaining way.
Yeah.
Like Laffy Taffy seems like it should be on a 1993 chart.
Oh,
because
yeah.
It's the same kind
It's
of
right
like,
up there with B-Rock and the Biz
yeah,
and Positive
exactly.
K, I
and
Got a Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like totally that kind of, let me see your Tootsie Roll. I mean, it sounds like they said, hey, Tootsie Roll worked. How
Yeah.
about Laffy Taffy?
How about Laffy Taffy?
Yeah, I mean, it
For an
just seems like-
innuendo.
And it just
Oh,
sounds
my
like it was
God.
made by some guy in a freaking, his bedroom or something. But I love it.
Oh, that's okay, but
Yeah.
shit, man. There's a Taylor Hicks song. on
Yeah,
this
yeah.
fucking
This is
list.
the year
Jesus
2006. Like Taylor Hicks is sitting somewhere going, I had it, man. 2006.
Yeah, that was my fucking
that
year.
was my year,
I was
man.
number 99 on the Billboard Top
Yeah.
100. Oh, fuck, dude. There's a Keyless song that has Too Short in it. Bossy.
Yeah.
I don't know that
I don't know that
song,
either,
man.
but it's
Yeah,
kind of. I
love
saw
Too
that too. I was
Short,
like, oh, it's
yeah.
good to see Too Short.
Yeah, still doing it?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm just sipping a little.
Yeah, it kind of Too Short and Bon Jovi had big comebacks in
Yeah.
2006.
Fucking crazy. Man, I cannot find a favorite song on this list. Gold Digger, maybe.
Yeah, that's not a bad choice. if we
Yeah,
wanna
I
go
think
with that.
that's probably my choice. Sure, it's not better than Waiting for the World to Change by John Mayer.
Some people are really into John Mayer.
Have
like,
we
big time.
talked about John
I
Mayer
don't
at
think
all?
we've really talked about him much on the podcast.
It's-
But our buddy Jeff at work was like, he's the best guitar player of his generation.
I mean, he's a great musician.
Yeah.
It's just, why can't you write better songs? Like, you have this really intense training. You went to Berklee College of Music. You're a fucking virtuosic guitar player, and you come out of the studio with your body as a wonderland.
Yeah.
Like, are you fucking serious? Like,
Right.
what is this, a joke?
yeah, it
That's
feels
what
like.
I felt like.
So
you know?
yeah, you're just this is all a put on. You're like,
Yeah.
well, what can I get to? Oh, hey, Bad Day. Or songs like that. We could sell
Yeah.
that. So we need to
Yeah.
have something that people will,
Right.
I don't know.
Wrote a song about running through the halls of your high school.
Yeah,
Like,
that was the
oh,
first time I ever heard him, and I
awesome.
was like, "This is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, this is what rock music is. Is this kind of crap?
Yeah.
Here's the thing, guys. And I don't mean to get too much into this as a guitarist because John Mayer could play circles around me as a guitarist.
Yeah.
Period. I'm
Yeah.
not trying to argue that I'm a better musician than him or anything like that, but. The music isn't in just copying what other people have done. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And
yeah.
just going to school and
Yeah.
being super studied and that's not rock.
Right,
you know what I
exactly,
mean? And if you
yeah.
think that that's rock, I want to run through the halls of your high school or Bodies of Wonderland or any of this stuff, then you miss the point. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? As Richard Thompson said, the music is in the edges.
Edges, yeah.
Right? It's like it's the edges is where the music are. That's why you listen to Superchunk and you hear everything
Yeah.
all frayed like
Yeah,
that. And
yeah.
it's not technical, but it's immediate in it's from the heart and soul.
So do you think that if you're saying that about John Mayer, do you think there's an argument to be made about these really kind of senior thesis versions of rock bands like Parquet Courts and Proto Martyr and stuff like that have all these influences that kind of are
Where I said they
smart
were really
and
studied and everything.
studied and all that? Do you feel like that? Could you make that same argument for those bands too? Because I don't
Kind of.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I think that's when I say Parquet Courts reminded me of the Germs.
Yeah,
it's
like an
kind
arty
of
version of the
backhanded.
Germs, yeah.
kind of a backhanded compliment because the Germs are great.
Sure.
But anybody could just say, I'm going to commit to sounding like a band that already existed. And then sometimes you can transcend it. I mean, Interpol did. Interpol sounded
like Joy
very much
Division.
like Joy Division, and it was like, but then they kind of got their own thing going, and it was fine. And they avoided it in a way that She Wants Revenge didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shit, I forgot about that band.
So it's possible.
I want to tear you apart. She Wants Revenge was almost like a fucking kind of grime kind of almost thing. Like it was because there was like a beat behind it, right? It was just like a guy singing.
It's been a
to
while
like a drum
since I've
machine
heard it.
and,
I just remember hearing like that's
minimal and
like
stuff. I don't know.
ineffectual,
Yeah.
like Joy Division knockoff.
Yeah.
But maybe it's probably not right to go dissing them because I really only heard like their one big song. Like
that was a pretty
handful of
big song
times.
too, probably on the charts whenever it came out. But yeah, so I guess Gold Digger favorite song, "Bad Day" by Daniel Powder.
Is your least
Might
favorite?
be my like you said, might be my least favorite song. It's such a fucking. It's just so bad.
It's
Like,
bad. Like
yeah.
I'm not even gonna try to defend that. Because you had a bad day.
Don't even
Like,
fucking sing it.
I'm just thinking like
it's
that
terrible.
melody doesn't even fit with the
Yeah.
idea of having a bad day.
No, it's a
Or
fucking major
even-
key. Yeah.
And not even in a like cheer you up
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
had a bad day. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like if you're going to do that, then it should be freaking walking on sunshine or something. You know what I mean? Like
somebody
where it really
ex-
feels
yeah.
like hey, we're going to turn this into a good day. Like instead it's like somewhere in between and it's just trash.
Yeah, the AV Club they used to have a segment on their site that
Hate
was
Song?
Hate
Yeah.
Song, yeah. And somebody talked about Imagine John Lennon, which I know that might seem kind of
I understand there's an argument against it.
yeah.
and
I mean, I like that song. Like
I like it, but
the-
it doesn't mean what a lot of people think.
Their
it means, and
argument,
that's-
the person's argument against it was like it feels like a fucking Hallmark greeting card. Like, yeah, and I disagree with that too. But I definitely, you could say that about Bad Day. for
Yeah, it
sure. Like,
absolutely
I feel
is,
like I
yeah.
picked this up at fucking Target and opened it up and it just played
So
the
you
song.
had a bad
Yeah.
day. Yeah, oh my gosh, that
Jesus.
probably exists, man.
Probably
we could
does.
probably go to Target. We'll do a
And if it
video
doesn't,
segment.
we're fucking doing it.
Yeah,
We're
let's
make
make
$1 million.
Daniel, get us on the phone. Call us.
Yeah,
we will
call
do
us,
it,
man.
Yeah,
we don't hate you. We don't dislike you as a person. We just think
I mean,
that
I do.
song is.
I mean,
Chris is like, I don't.
I
like
hate you as a person, but Marty doesn't. So you're 50-50 with
yeah,
us.
I'm a pacifist, man. Like I love everybody,
And
even
I
if
just
they-
hate everybody.
Even if they made
No,
inexcusable music, which you definitely did.
Dude, that would be such a great title for an album. Inexcusable music.
This is the first track.
Here we go. Inexcusable music. Because you had a bad day.
It's just 10 times over.
No joke. We are going to make I'll make a playlist called Inexcusable Music,
All right,
and we
sounds
will
good.
put My Humps, MacArthur Park, and Bad Day just 40 times. What do you say?
God, that sounds like our version of hell.
Yeah, it
Good
does.
God.
Inexcusable, man.
Anyway, so okay, so did you pick a favorite? So least
Yeah, I
favorite
went-
for you is My Humps.
My Humps. Favorite
Favorite song is Feel Good Incorporated,
Feel Good Inc. And I
which
want to
is
say
good.
about Feel Good Inc. that I love the groove on it, you know. And what I love too is that it sounded weird, like when it was on the radio
Yeah,
and on
it
that
did.
chart and everything.
It
Like
did.
it didn't. I mean, it sounded like. You've used the phrase "forward" a lot. It sounded like it was freaking coming from space or something.
Agreed,
Like it
agreed.
didn't sound like someone listened to the hits of 2005 and then just said, "Okay, I'll make some version of that." You know?
Yeah.
De La Soul's coming out, that sort of crazy laugh at the beginning and everything.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Feel good. Like that is the hook or whatever. Like it was
Yeah.
the first time I heard it, and this is true with a lot of Damon Albarn stuff, where like the first time I hear his stuff, I'm like, I don't know about that one. And then you listen to it like 4 or 5 times and it gets in your head and you're like, oh my God, this is a work of genius.
Right.
And Feel Good Inc. was totally like that for me.
Yeah.
And the video is great too, because it's all, I mean, they're partly a visual band, but
Right.
mostly
Mostly a visual band. We
Yeah,
kind of touched
really.
on that last week. Yeah.
Yeah, but the idea of one of the members of Gorillaz kind of being locked in this sort of hellscape of the music industry,
Right,
and just
right.
wanting to get out to the to the natural world outside of it, and he can't
yeah.
escape.
Right.
It was like the perfect visual to go with Feel Good.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Crazy stuff, man. Well, I mean, Bad Day for me for the worst, and then I guess Gold Digger by Kanye is my favorite. And
that's a good choice, man.
yeah, I think so. I think it's good. So cool, man. So I think we kind of hunkered
Just
through
say
the charts.
worst chart we've seen.
I would
think
I would agree.
I think there's not
agree.
even any question
Yeah.
because like
I
we
like
had like
it's-
2009 we weren't all on
Yeah.
but it was like
Some-
Single
some-
Ladies
some
is
do-
on that.
some
You know what I
dots
mean?
here
Like
and
there were
there
a
that
few
were-
things in there that were
Yeah, I agree. I
But
agree. But this is just like
This is
all-
just like the trash songs
Yeah.
are really trash.
Yes,
on
they
this.
are.
Like it's
Yeah.
not just like this isn't anything.
And
I'm
I think
interested
that's
in.
a really good summation you made. Like every white guy on this list is just bad,
Just
except
everyone.
for Justin Timberlake.
Yeah, and even that's not great. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Damon Albarn, but he's a cartoon on this one,
Yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
and I think there may be. I think I saw one other one that was okay, but like white guys, we got to have a heart to heart, white guys, my fellow white guys.
Well-
why are we making such trashy music, guys? Like, what's wrong with us?
yeah.
Like, let's try.
What
and-
the fuck?
Let's
Yeah.
just try to make better music, white guys. That's all I'm asking. When I say we're, obviously, I don't really think like white guys are all like
Yeah.
we meet in a club somewhere. Or something. Hey, white guys, what kind of music we're gonna make? Is it really the Fray again? Are you sure?
You sure about that?
All right,
Snow Patrol?
Right on, everybody. Well, see you next year.
Oh Jesus!
That's how white guys talk.
All right, man. Well, cool. Well, why don't we talk about my pick? Is that okay with you?
Yeah, man.
So the album that I chose for 2006 is a really interesting album. It's again probably the album I listened to the most that year. It's a lot different than anything I had listened to up to that point, I think, as far as my tastes went, and it kind of changed my life in some ways for the better. Chris, why don't you play a little bit of it?
Yeah. Guitar sounds great.
Really bright, beautiful guitars right off the bat. Really piano. We got a lot of elements in there. Positive kind of up-tempo rock.
Yeah.
So this album is the Hold Steady's breakthrough album, Boys and Girls in America, 2006.
Let him sing a little bit there. Get a chance to hear how he
Yeah,
he
with
sounds.
Craig's vocals. Yeah,
and that piano in there.
yeah.
So yeah.
So this is a really when this album came out. Came out on Vagrant Records, a record label that was famous for acts like the Get Up Kids and some like kind of emo-y pop punk kind of stuff. Dashboard Confessional, yeah. So when I saw this album cover, I said, "Oh, there's this band called the Hold Steady, and Vagrant's putting out their album, and it's like if you've seen the album cover, it's colorful and it has these pink and yellow and gold hues.
Oh yeah,
and
it's gorgeous cover.
It's a really gorgeous album cover, and I just saw it and thought, man, this is going to really be this cool, like, emo-y pop punk banger of an album. And then I listened to it and I'm like, this is not what I was expecting whatsoever. It's just like, so these are like Bruce Springsteen songs about kids going to raves and stuff.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is wild. This is like nothing I had ever heard. And, I really, really liked it. I really, you have kind of conceptual stories on this album that were different than a lot of the music that was being made then in indie rock and punk and stuff. And you can draw lines to all kinds of different subgenres and all kinds of different underground movements, I think. Punk, hardcore, emo, like I think all that stuff is kind of on here in some traces, but it's distilled through this very kind of concentrated lens of almost Americana and like...
And
you know,
Springsteen for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
absolutely.
like-
Yeah, admittedly. So yeah.
I mean,
like
that's
Craig and
they're
those
sort of
guys.
indebted to Springsteen the same way that Oasis is indebted to the Beatles. I mean, it colors the entire album. you know?
Absolutely. But yeah, this is just a really, really great album. It's like, you know, like I said, what did you think upon first listen, Chris? Because you hadn't had this much experience with the album, I remember.
So I knew 2 Hold Steady songs, and both of them were on this album. So
Which ones?
Stuck Between Stations and You Can't Make Him Like You.
Okay.
Or You Can Make Him Like You.
Okay. That's a good one.
Yeah. So those were the 2 that I knew. And I basically, I didn't cotton on to the Hold Steady back in 2006. I think AV Club or someone, they did like at the end of the decade, like, best songs from the decade. So when I was kind of trying to catch up on stuff that I hadn't heard before, Stuck Between Stations was like one of their things. And then that other track too, somewhere I got a recommendation. So I knew those 2 songs and I was like, okay, so they got kind of a Springsteen thing going on. And that's about as much as I knew that they it was kind of like reports from rave culture.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like
Like sort of-
dispatches kind of thing.
like a lot of like stories about that, you know.
Dispatches from weird music festivals and,
Right.
you know, getting weirdly drunk in somebody's apartment at 4 a.m.
Yeah,
you know,
which
like,
we're going to get to talk about that at length. But I knew that was kind of their vibe. But that was pretty much all that I knew. Listening to it, I was like, yeah, no, they're fully committed to that.
Yeah,
like that's
absolutely.
definitely what the record is about. You know. And it's kind of cool to hear like early Springsteen. Like I'm a big fan of the very first Springsteen album, Greens from Asbury Park. Are you familiar with that album? Basically, the Hold Steady sounds like that album.
Yeah.
But lyrically, it's a different kind of thing altogether. But sonically, it's very similar. In fact, I'll go ahead and do it. Let me play you just one track.
Yeah,
off it.
totally.
Not that you need to be sold on the idea that there's an indebtedness to Springsteen, and I don't even mean this in a bad way, but just so you can hear kind of how very similar it is.
Yeah.
I know you know your Springsteen, but
well, I do, but you probably know more about the boss than I do, I'd say.
Listen to like this track, and you can kind of hear what I'm talking about. Even the vocal styles, because Springsteen sings slightly differently on his first album from where he goes after that. This is called "Does This Bus Stop at 82nd Street?"
Hey, bus driver,
Oh yeah,
You hear that kind of, it's a little more nasally.
yeah,
So there's a lot of people who feel like Springsteen, I don't want to get into a big discussion on Springsteen, but it is kind of somewhat relevant here. That he's too indebted to Bob Dylan on this record, and he's not really being himself. He's trying to be someone else. And he kind of moves away from this on the first album. So in some ways, it's an underappreciated section of his career, and I feel like the Hold Steady sort of picked up some of those threads here.
Right.
And kind of continued and developed that side of it. So it still sounds like Springsteen, but not, to me anyway, it doesn't sound like Born to Run era Springsteen, or really even like, definitely not like Born in the USA era Springsteen. It's much earlier. It's like the first two records, Springsteen records.
Right. Yeah, no, I would comp with you on that. I would definitely agree. If we talk about the Hold Steady and we talk about kind of the members of the band, right? Craig, the main songwriter, Craig Finn, the kind of, I guess, backbone of the band. I think to understand the context of the Hold Steady a little bit, we want to go back to his band before the Hold Steady. They were called Lifter Puller. Why don't we go ahead and listen to one of their songs?
Which track do you mean?
It's Space Humping for 1999. Fiestas and Fiascos is the album.
Think about what you've got compared to what I've got. Now,
What do you think my girl wants?
Oh, yeah. Dig that organ.
So, what do you think my girl wants? So that was Craig's band before the Hold Steady. They were called Lifter Puller. And if you hear a little bit of that song, and you get an idea that it's a little less packed. It's more minimal than the Hold Steady. You have like when the song really kicks in, you have just like a little bass line, and you have just like a weird keyboard kind of riff, like whatever that was. And
like a Farfisa.
Yeah, kind of like a Farfisa, and he's like kind of like talking, rapping through the lyrics and stuff. And from the way I understand it, and Minneapolis is where they came up. That's the scene they came out of, and the punk rock then in Minneapolis was like Rhymesayers, was like Atmosphere and POS, and that kind of scene had a very big affinity for Lifter Puller. Atmosphere even has a song called Lifter Puller.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, on Seven's Travels, on his kind of breakthrough album. But yeah, and in fact, Craig actually raps on a song by a rapper named POS, who's from Minneapolis. And he actually has like a rap verse, which is crazy and really awesome. So the beginning of the Hold Steady can be obviously traced back to Lifter Puller. And I think the Hold Steady is kind of more of a fleshed out version of that original idea. You know what I'm saying? And I think even more so, with the Springsteen kind of love and the Springsteen influence. That wasn't really apparent in Lifter Puller, but I think that when they got together to do the Hold Steady, they decided to distill that in a much bigger and different way than Lifter Puller did. But that's certainly a very earnest beginning, I feel like. And it, draws a line back to hip hop, which was something I could always really appreciate and value and get into, So, yeah.
I never would have pulled that out myself to think of an indebtedness or a connection to hip hop scene from this record. But maybe it makes a little more sense with Lifter Puller and stuff.
And, and now they could have been indebted to the punk scene in Minneapolis as well. I didn't come from that scene. I don't know how everything shaked out. I just know that they were important in that Rhymesayers indie hip hop scene as well. And the way that I understand that is the indie hip hop scene in Minneapolis back in like the early 2000s was kind of like a punk scene. It was like a lot of like, shows and stuff. A lot of like, POS apparently was like Atmosphere's merch guy. And then like, he wrote a couple of songs and Atmosphere let him like open up for him. And then that career took off, and then Brother Ali and all these other cats. So, it's really interesting to me that they kind of almost came from that scene and they did something like they made a statement like Boys and Girls in America,
Yeah.
So that's one thing I really like about this band and their vibe and their whole kind of, presence in music, in indie rock or whatever you want to call it. So.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what was it? Talk to me about so you said you listened to this a lot in 2006. So I just got to say, in a way, very different vibe, both between your pick and mine. Now,
sure.
CD Ifni is a song about a guy going out with his friends and getting drunk and thinking about girls.
Right.
So in some ways, it could have been a Hold Steady song, but a complete different approach, right? Mm-hmm. So talk to me about that. Like, where was your headspace? Were you listening to this and being like, cool, this describes my life? Or were you listening to it more literate? Or what was it?
I was doing a little of both. Because, first of all, a long relationship I was in was winding down, and I knew it. And there were times where I didn't want to accept it, and there were times when I did. And when it finally ended, I had been listening to this album already for I think maybe a month or two, if my memory serves me correctly. I remember going to see them live like a month after my ex and I broke up, and it was just like life-affirming experience. It was so fantastic. But yeah, it was. I was really kind of the thing that struck me the most when I was listening to this album is they're talking about like these experiences about drinking and going out and doing drugs, but you never really understand if they're good or bad. That's not really discussed.
Right.
You never really understand like who. Like if the person actually had a good time or actually like, I don't know, this is probably not the right thing to say. Like you don't get a feeling that any of these people are either better or worse people for these experiences, Right. And that kind of almost like nihilism is something that I kind of really related with at the time.
Interesting.
So I mean, there's people you're talking about. One of the things in this Pitchfork review that when it got reviewed is, let's see. There was something I wanted to...
I actually read that review, and I usually don't do that for this podcast. Yeah. But one thing that I like about that review is, and they loved it, right?
Yeah. 9.4. Yeah.
It's like the perfect Pitchfork album in a way.
Yeah, it is.
But they drew a parallel that I also had drawn, and I was like, man, they got to it first, But very similar to Jarvis Cocker in some ways. Very similar to Pulp.
Right.
But the difference is, and I also spot this, is that Jarvis tells you what he thinks about this.
Yeah.
This guy, Craig, never tells you what he thinks.
No, he doesn't.
And except within the voice of a character or something.
You almost get the sense that he's just there along for the ride with all of this. Like in Chips Ahoy, when he's like, we spent $500 on the 6th horse in the 5th race. I think his name was Chips Ahoy. And he's like, spent the whole next week getting high. I love this girl, but I can't tell if she's having a good time. It's kind of like, this is what am I doing here? Kind of thing. Yeah. Like, why? I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. Like, it's very hard for me to understand though. Like, because he never gives you any tip on how he really feels about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't tell, like, and maybe going back to that review a little bit, I couldn't tell if it was more like, This Is Hardcore by Pulp, or if it was more like the Happy Mondays, where it's just like 24-hour party people. You know what I mean?
I think it's somewhere in between, to be completely honest, because these dudes are not like, Craig is like a Catholic and goes to church every Sunday and stuff.
Right.
Like, swear to God, yeah.
I kept reading that. You know, they said it was a very Catholic point of view, but I couldn't. I don't feel, apart from the fact that he names drops Jesus and Judas at one point, and I think one character brings up Jesus at one point, but like it doesn't sound Catholic to me. Yeah. Maybe Separation Sunday does a little bit more. I don't know, but like I didn't catch that here, so I'm just curious about that. You were Catholic growing up, so maybe you have a better sense of that than I do.
I don't mean to backtrack, but if you listen to their album before this, Separation Sunday, it's a concept album, and there's a lot of religious references. In it. Like, you know, she went up to the cross and found that she liked the view, and like her hair done up in broken glass. Sir, can I tell you how a resurrection really feels and stuff? Like, there's some really insanely poignant lyrics on that album, but I wanted to talk about this one because, you know, Separation Sunday I heard a little down the line, and while I still love that album, I think this is probably I've talked about band sounds being fully realized before, and this is it for the Hold Steady. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I think that's a good point to bring up, Chris. The whole thing is like, well, is he really just along for the party? Is he Hunter S. Thompson, or is he like, you know, does he have some kind of remorse or some kind of like doubt about going into all this stuff? I think that's for us to figure out as the listener,
right?
You know, and that's what I like about this. You know, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, that context helps me understand a little bit of your love for it. You know what I mean? Like I get that. So cool. Yeah, to me, I found it a little frustrating because you know, like I sometimes want art to be persuasive. Even if he's saying that he loves this life, you know what I mean? Right. I sometimes want it to be able to do that because, you know, there's 13 songs on this, at least in the iTunes version. I think it's got a couple of songs tacked on, right? Yeah. But almost every single, well, I did a little bit of original research. I want to, hold on.
Okay, yeah,
now,
what you got?
This is, so I made a spreadsheet.
Excuse me.
I made a spreadsheet, Marty.
You made a spreadsheet?
Yes, I did.
The fuck? What is this? Like...
So,
oh my God, there it is.
I want you to see this spreadsheet. Hold on, let me get my glasses. This is like,
I can kind of make it out from here, but not totally.
What I did is I was like, well, he definitely has an approach, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no question. And I want to be clear. This is not a knock on the Hold Steady or on this album. It's just, I just wanted to illustrate a point more to satiate my own curiosity.
Yeah.
I had, so there's 13 songs on here. And so I made a list of 4 themes that I feel appear on this album frequently, right?
Okay.
The first one is what I'm calling the Hold Steady girl, which is the appearance of a girl, and it's not just a reference to a girl, but a girl very much like the Hold Steady girl. Like she is sexy, you know, and, you know, basically any character on this album is like the Hold Steady girl. So that's the first category. Does a Hold Steady girl appear in this song? If so, I'm checking it in my spreadsheet.
Every song.
The next one was sexual content. Now, songs have sex in them. That's fine. You know, again, this is not a criticism, but does it have sexual content in it? And not just boyfriend and girlfriend are mentioned, but like kissing, actual sex, sucking each other off at the demonstration or anything like that, right? Yeah. So that's one category. The third one is getting high. You'll notice every single one has some reference to getting high.
Southtown Girls, even that has a song.
That's all about girls going to pick up drugs at a dealer.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
I forgot about that. Sorry.
And then the last one is Geography by Springsteen, and that's the one category that's
Geography by Springsteen. What do you mean by that?
Is the Bruce Springsteen
about New Jersey and shit?
Well,
like
no,
that?
not just New Jersey, but like this happened at the South Cross Mall, or this happened on such and such avenue or whatever, right? Okay. So there were
10th and Hennepin.
Exactly.
Okay, I'm with you on that.
All right.
Okay,
so,
cool.
and again, this is not a knock on. I want to make sure this is clear because I don't want you to think that I'm like coming locked and loaded to attack this.
Right.
It's just to illustrate the point that there is a very particular like aesthetic to this or like approach to this. Okay. So total possible, if you had all the check boxes, the total possible you could have checked if every song mentioned all 4 of these things, 52.
Yeah.
It gets 43.
Wait.
So 43 of the songs of 52 possible points that you could get here.
Yeah.
Only 9 times does it not mention one of these things in the song.
Oh, Jesus.
And that's with the Geography by Springsteen, which only half it kind of take that approach. Right. So really, all but 2 songs have a Hold Steady girl on them.
Yeah.
Only one song doesn't have
Hold
sexual
Steady Girl,
content
it's great.
in it.
Yeah.
Every song has something about getting high in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then like it's about half and half with the geography
Right,
approach.
right.
So I just wanted to kind of use that to illustrate it's just in a funny way
Yeah.
that like these guys have a very particular like approach to songwriting.
Yeah.
And for better or worse, but
Yeah.
it just struck me as kind of interesting. So.
Yeah. Well, and they're trying to tell stories through this whole kind of, like I was saying, like nihilistic kind of behavior of, people, kids doing, chasing girls and chasing drugs and getting high and doing all this stuff. And this is not really an approach to that lifestyle that I've seen kind of communicated in music before,
Right.
Because like I said, I can't tell if he's miserable or if he's happy or if he's somewhere in between. And I think maybe that's up to us to try and figure out,
When you listen to it, how do you tend to think? Do you think it's different
Depends.
from song to song, or do you?
I
think,
do. I do. Yeah. Like I think Chill Out Tent, when there was a stage in a PA up in Western Massachusetts, and she says it hurts, but it's worth. Or that's a different song. That's on Separation Sunday.
Chill Out Tent is the craziest song
it
we've
is,
ever
yeah.
talked about on this.
They gave us oranges and cigarettes. I remember
Yeah.
when I saw them live, they had stickers that just said oranges and cigarettes on them.
Yeah.
It was a black sticker with orange writing, and I put one on my laptop at the time, and my mom was like, "Oranges and cigarettes, what does that mean? That sounds bad." And like, I
it's
couldn't
just-
even begin to try and get you to understand this album, Mom. Like, it's just not going to work. Like,
Dave Pirner singing on it from Soul Asylum. So
is he really?
Yeah. So Chill Out Tent. That is probably the one song
I didn't
on
know
this
that,
where I'm
actually.
like, what? Where so he describes a festival, his kids going down to a festival,
Yeah.
and doing a bunch of mushrooms and getting
Yeah.
fucked up,
Yeah.
and then meeting each other in the Chill Out tent,
Yeah.
basically the medical tent,
Right.
making out, and then
Right.
never seeing each other again.
Yeah.
And then Dave Pirner sings the part of the boy, and
Yeah.
someone else sings the part of the
The
girl,
girl,
and then that's your song.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's
Did they have that lyric in this song? Like, they started kissing when the nurses took out the IVs. It was kind of creepy, but it was kind of sexy.
Yeah, I wrote that down on here.
Yeah.
That's one of the few times he actually does put commentary on it.
Yeah.
It was kind of sexy, but it was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
There's a song on, and I'm sorry to bring, this is the last time I'll bring it up, but there's a song on Separation Sunday where we went into the ER and there's a girl drinking gin out of a jam jar, and somebody in the next room is making a joke about the ER being like an after bar. And I feel like this song is kind of like the darker side of that. A little bit, you know? But yeah, I don't know, man. This album just makes me think a lot. I would say, about what we've talked about like what is this like? I mean, and you hear a little bit of it on Chips Ahoy when he's like, "I love this girl, but I can't tell if she's having a good time." And like,
Right.
It's kind of like people really do these things. People really do go to music festivals and do drugs and like try and like chase girls and like think they're in love and with people because they're on drugs or whatever. And the way that they approach that kind of darkness I don't think has ever been done like this.
I'll say this. I mean, for an album that potentially has that kind of darkness, it's an extremely bright album.
Exactly.
I mean, it sounds like Springsteen. You know what I
Exactly,
mean?
yeah.
Like it's like a kind of a middle class Springsteen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I would say that. Yeah. So, yeah, man, it's just crazy.
To me, I hear it and I think there's a lot of like triumphant stuff on
Sure.
this. You know
Sure
what I mean?
there
Like
is.
I think
Sure there is.
because I think by not putting any much judgment on it at all, I think it ends up sort of tacitly saying, well, like it's kind of supporting it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I don't want to sound like PMRC or something like that.
I think it's kind of like this happens.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like this happens.
Well,
People
more like
are
a
young.
news report or something.
Boys
right?
and girls in America. Yeah, they're young. They want to do drugs and go to music festivals and have a good time and, whatever, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of darkness in that. And, is it bad? Is it good? I don't know. That's for you to decide.
Right.
That's the way I feel. And I apologize if I'm being redundant at all.
No, not at all. I think it's good to kind of. What I like is that you and I are on the same wavelength about it not being judgmental.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And I mean judgmental in the sense of positive or negative.
Exactly.
I do think it probably ends up being more positive simply because it's not being negative in places where you think it would be.
Right.
But I may be projecting that onto it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? A little convergence in 2006. When I was going through David Lowery's blog, I found an interview he did with the Hold Steady in
Really?
2010. So literally, they
No
play
way.
and he's talking to them a little bit, and
Wow.
so there's the convergence between Cracker and the Hold Steady, but
Yeah.
he's talking to him and he's like talking about why are you living in New York? I mean, you write a lot about like scenesters and
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Are you just trying to torture yourself
Yeah.
being around those people?
Yeah.
And he was like, because you were pretty critical, is what
Yeah.
Lowry
Yeah.
said. And
Yeah.
then Craig kind of corrected him and was like, well, I don't know how critical I am.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
kind of was almost defending, not defending, but or defensive, but he was kind of saying, no, it's maybe you misunderstood this a little
Yeah.
bit. Like it's not necessarily like a judgment kind
Yeah.
of thing. And I hearing that, I was like, oh, that's very interesting, because I sense that it's like. It's the closest I can say. It's like a news report of it.
Yeah,
Like, here, this
yeah.
happened. This. I mean, almost the
Right.
the Hold Steady song on this album. It's like there's a girl. I'm a guy. We did some drugs.
Yeah.
Made out. Never saw
Yeah.
each other again.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I know that sounds super dismissive, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is like there's no attempt to like take that and contextualize it, or
Right.
there's no
Right.
C.D. Eafney where he's like, I will never leave this
Yeah.
place
Right.
alive.
Right.
Like there's not that kind of thing.
Yeah. Am I
and
depressed?
by design.
Yeah. Am I depressed because of it? Because I'm never going to see her again? I don't know. Maybe. What do you think? You
Yeah.
know, that's
like,
kind of like what
next song.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Did this ever happen to you? Maybe it did, and maybe we had a similar experience. I don't know. You know. So
I can say for me, I didn't really, I don't have direct experience like this. I've been to a lot of shows, but never made out with a stranger. at
no,
the chill
me
out
neither.
tent.
And
You
I
know
don't
what I mean?
do
Like,
drugs like this. Like I've never done mushrooms, and I've never tried to do whatever. I've never I've never bet on a horse and like made thousands of dollars and spent the whole next week getting high. Like I've never done that. And
but there are a lot of people who do.
There are,
and
yeah.
This goes back to a point that we've made before about the humanness and the human nature
right.
thing being a important component of art. It's
Sure.
like this is a thing that happens, and therefore there should be a poet of this kind of thing.
Right,
Like there should
right.
be a way to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think, this, like I said, my only frustration with it is that sometimes I do feel like I want him to offer some kind of perspective, and he's
Yeah.
deliberately not doing
Right,
that.
right.
So it's a choice. So it's a valid artistic choice,
Yeah.
but it frustrates me
But it
because I want to
kind
hear
of
it.
gets you, it kind of like puts you in a weird headspace. It sounds like, 'Cause
Yeah.
you're like, just make a decision, man. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I mean, is it just fun to go get on shrooms and go to a show,
Yeah.
or is it?
What is it? This song,
du-
same kooks. It was the
Yeah.
same kooks that we bumped into from the photo shoot or whatever.
Yeah. You want to hear a little
Same
bit?
two kooks. Yeah. It's kind of a really short, like distilled
Yeah.
rocker. Yeah, a little.
And then organ, too,
Yeah.
like that kind of thing. That's a Springsteen flourish that you didn't. I mean, you don't really hear it in like certainly critically acclaimed music at this time.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, this almost sounds like, and this happens a few times on it. His vocal delivery reminds me of almost like spoken word
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
It does. And a lot of people have trouble with that. Like I know Kevin Moss when he was like, yeah, that Hold Steady stuff. Like, I don't know, man. Like it's just, I get it. Like I understand why people like it. It's just not really my thing. Like, and
Yeah.
I thought that would have been something he would have really liked, but he was like, no, I don't dig it.
Yeah.
You know?
Is it the vocal style?
Yeah,
or whatever?
I don't know. It's been a while since we've talked about it, so I'm not really
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
exactly what his big beef was with it, but yeah, I mean musically, so the organ player Franz, he's a really interesting dude. He's in another band called World Inferno Friendship Society that's kind of like this anarchist punk band in a way, but they do this kind of almost like vaudeville kind of thing, like kind of like what's the Gogol Bordello, kind of like them,
Yeah.
but like honestly, I don't really care for Gogol Bordello. Honestly, I'm not really into
Yeah,
them.
I haven't dug them open.
But World Inferno is really good, and he's like the organ player in that band too, which I don't know if they're active anymore, but they have a really good album called like Red Eyed Soul or something like that. That's really awesome. They have a couple. They have a couple others too that are really fantastic. But he left the band. They did this album, and they did one other album, Stay Positive, with him, and then he left. And this most recent album, he just came back for this new album, Thrashing Through the Passion, which I haven't even gotten a chance to listen to yet. But
yeah. But you said that after he was gone, you're not.
wasn't quite the same. So Heaven is Whenever. So basically, after this album, there's like 3 or 4 Hold Steady albums. So there's Boys and Girls in America. Then there's Stay Positive, which is okay. It's got some okay songs on it. It's kind of similar in stylistically to Boys and Girls. The production is a little bit bigger though on Stay Positive because they were a little more popular because of the result. Boys and Girls of America kind of skyrocketed them a little bit. They kind of got
I
bigger.
think Pitchfork or AV Club or someone called it the best album of 2006.
Yeah.
So it was critically acclaimed.
Yeah,
for
it was.
sure.
It was for sure.
It does seem to me like the kind of album that music critics would love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it sort of describes the perfect music critic life, going to shows, doing magic mushrooms and meeting girls.
Right,
You know?
right. Yeah, and like Heaven is Whenever is okay too. The song We Can Get Together is really Heaven is Whenever we can get together, sit down on your floor and listen to some records.
Yeah.
Like I know I keep quoting these songs, I'm sorry.
No,
but
it's cool.
But I really dig the way that Craig writes. I don't know. It's just great.
It does remind me a little bit of like what you liked about Japandroids and Jess to Brazil.
Yeah.
Like, you know, which I think are kind of personal choices that you've brought before,
Yeah.
where it's very like a lot of poetic situations kind of talked about plainly. Although I think
Right,
he's a little bit
right.
more poetic as far as like finding
He
images
is,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
But yeah, there are a lot of great lines on this
Yeah,
record.
agreed. Yeah, and I'm not really when it comes to like poetic nature of things and English majory things. That's I mean I like that stuff, but
Right.
I think you're a little bit better when it comes to that kind of stuff. But that's okay.
I think
Like,
it's just a part of what I look for in music.
yeah,
you know?
and that's fine. You know, that's cool. But yeah, Teeth Dreams is not very good. I don't really care for that album, and I haven't even heard their newest album, Thrashing Through the Passion, which Franz is back on. So we'll see. When I saw him live the first time, it was at this place called the Southgate House in northern Kentucky. It was the guy that invented the Tommy gun. This was his mansion back in like the 1800s or early 1900s, and
Heck of a place to see a show.
Mark Twain had been there, Abraham Lincoln had been there, all these really crazy people had been there, and
I just saw it was like an opening for the Hold Steady. It's Mark Twain.
Yeah, right. Yeah, seriously, man, like reading Huck Finn or
Yeah,
some shit.
exactly.
But anyway, they turned this house into a music venue whenever, like probably in the 80s or something. And it's still a music venue. It's not called the Southgate House anymore. And from what I understand, it kind of sucks now, which is really unfortunate because it was such a great venue in its heyday. And basically there's this big ballroom where they have the shows, and there's a couple more little rooms like that they have smaller shows at too. But we saw the Hold Steady there, and during the opening band, there's this big area in one of the rooms that has just a bunch of pool tables, and Franz was playing pool with people before the show started.
Oh, that's
and,
pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they went on, and it was just the craziest thing about their fan base is there's like everybody. There's like hardcore kids and hippies and punk kids, and like it's so diverse.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like nothing I've ever seen. Like, you know, everybody really enjoys this music, you know, for what reason we don't know, but yeah,
Maybe that openness to interpretation is part of the appeal too. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Where
yeah.
it's like you can kind of approach it from different ways. You know?
yeah, totally,
I don't know.
totally. So
It's good though. I mean, it sounds like it'd be fun live. I bet they were.
they're really fun live.
Yeah.
I saw them during South by when they were touring on Stay Positive too. And they were really awesome that day too as well. I can't remember. I saw a bunch of. There was like it's now called Barracuda, but back then it was called Red 7. And
remember, yeah.
and I saw them, and I can't remember.
That's a pretty small venue to see.
It's outside.
Okay.
Yeah, they have a big outside stage where they had a lot of the bigger shows there. So yeah, and I think I like waited in line a pretty long time to get into that show too. So I was pretty stoked to get in. I was right by the stage, I remember. So it was
that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, it was very awesome. So yeah, this is a great album, guys. I really, really dig this album.
What do you think about the 2 extra songs on there? Do you feel like it ends at Southtown Girls? Is that the
Yeah.
end? Okay. Good.
Kind of, yeah.
So I'm listening to it
Yeah.
on iTunes, and it wasn't until about an hour before we started recording that I even realized those last 2 songs weren't part of the album. So
Yeah. Girls
I
Like
do think-
Status and Arms and Hearts, those two. Yeah.
Which I think Southtown Girls is a better place to
Southtown
start.
Girls Won't Blow You Away. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And I'm not actually too crazy about Girls Like Status. but
Yeah, me neither.
I think it goes back to that. You can't tell if he,
Yeah.
like what he means by it, because
Right.
he declares, girls, what guys go for looks and girls go for status.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that sounds like something on an incel board. But then he says some nights it's just like that or whatever.
Yeah,
And so it's like
yeah.
you understand that he understands the grossness of that
Exactly,
idea.
exactly.
But it's I still I still wasn't sure about how I felt about it. But.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I think maybe there's, I think like you said, like, are there some half-cocked ideas on this album? Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I think Craig does good enough job of ironing a lot of that stuff out to make you maybe understand a little bit more about where he's coming from and about what he's trying to do artistically. Like, what does it mean? Kind of thing. I don't know.
I think you've hit on the big piece of it. I mean, to begin with, it's just musically, it's celebratory, it's fun, it's rocking, it's rock in a kind of way that wasn't really mainstream in 2006 or hadn't been, and then it's open for interpretation. Like exactly, it's descriptive of real world things. A kind of.
I will say Stuck Between Stations when he said she was a real good kisser, but she wasn't all that great of a girlfriend.
Right.
I that's relatable.
Right.
Like totally. So yes, does he reach for this crazy kind of darkness about what it's like doing drugs and getting involved with the wrong crowd? Yes. But he also has really simple lines about, well, I mean, she was a really great kisser, but she kind of sucks. Like, like as a person, like, everybody can relate to that. And I think that's the beauty in this album. Is like,
I like too, like a lot of little specific images. He's really good. Like when he talks about the one guy having a pipe made out of a Pringles can. And then he brings it up in like two different songs, and it's like, so it's obviously like, but that little image, like I won't forget that image.
No,
like,
of course not.
I never had a friend who had a pipe made out of a Pringles can, but now I kind of have this like specific thing. Like I know that that's a thing now, because it's in a Hold Steady.
Yeah, and he says boys and girls in America have such a sad time together, sucking off each other at the demonstrations, like, So, I mean, making sure their makeup's straight,
Talking about the demonstrations too, I kind of felt like that's also one of the few times that we've seen artists engage with the bigger world in the 2000s.
Yeah.
A lot of times the 2000s musically are a little frustrating because they don't always they didn't engage as hardcore with what was happening in the broader world.
Right.
Like I kind of felt like they ought to have.
Yeah.
So even though this is not about the war, but it's at least sort of recognizing that there's like an undercurrent of something going on in amongst young people.
What the state of the world is.
Yeah, exactly. At least, and that's the first song, and it kind of puts a lot of that in context. And even that image about right now, he feels like he's stuck between stations on the radio. It's like, that's a killer image.
It is,
like,
totally.
It's one of those you hear and you're like, God, I wish I'd written that line.
So I was wrong. She was a really cool kisser, but she wasn't all that strict of a Christian. She was a damn good dancer, but she wasn't all that great of a girlfriend. That's the line. So I had to look that up, actually. But yeah, stuck between stations on the radio. Like there's two other stations bleeding into each other, and you don't know which one's, which one you want to listen to. Like that's
right.
Yeah,
that's
a great line.
Image,
great line. Yeah, I agree. I think that we covered a lot about this album. I think I feel pretty good about our conversation. What do you think? Is there anything else you wanted to say, Chris?
No, I feel good. I might. I don't know if we can find a way. Maybe on Patreon, I'll make my little spreadsheet available if you want to get a look at much or something, or throw it up on Instagram. I don't want it to be taken as a dig on the album. It's just to show that there's a very specific approach, and I kind of had fun putting it together because, like I said, I was just kind of curious about how often these themes come up.
Totally. Well, awesome, man. Well, hey, guys, another fun episode. Really glad we got to talk about this album. I really thought it was a great conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks again for listening. And again, check out Patreon, please. We'd love for you to check it out and see what special content we have that for those that want to become patrons. And we will catch you next time. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good one.